podcast time here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands, my home, away from home. Next up, Dwight Witten Rebecca Johnson.
What's up, Kevin? Hale, how you doing, man?
Bringing his radio voice. You just came from
I just got
doing
off
a couple.
WHAS. I come straight here. Normally, I don't like going to the Highlands because there's no parking. I hate it. There's no, but I tell you, yeah. But when I do, I like here, and I'll tell you, it's not just the drinks, but it's they have these brisket tacos.
Oh yeah,
my friends in Van Walen, Mike Fulkerson and Les Paul Deal.
Yeah.
I was here with them, and they turned me on to these things. This is the best, second best thing I ever put in my mouth.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first one got a name?
No, she might be listening.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out.
Hey, thanks for asking me.
When I do a podcast, the ultimate podcast is having guests on that I can just shoot the shit. We can talk about anything. And I think we can, I think we can pull this off here.
But it's an art and a gift.
Damn right
not everybody's got it.
Yeah. So it's like tonight, I've got, we could talk music. We could talk politics. We could talk religion. Some of my favorite topics.
Yeah.
Probably a sex tape involved. That's me. Never mind. That's
no. Listen, I've got a
that's on me.
I've got a sex tape too. But the problem is, I talked my wife into making a sex video with me. All right, and it's exciting when you're doing it. But then here's what I found when we started watching it. I watched this hot blonde come into frame, and then she's laying on the bed. And then this Easter egg type looking thing came and climbed on top of her. And it looked like an Easter egg was assaulting a hot blonde. And it wasn't anything like I thought my sex tape would look like. It looked like an hors d'oeuvre with a couple of toothpicks, 2 extra toothpicks. But got up on the bed. And
that's what the fast forward. You fast forward past
gosh.
the foreplay.
No,
get right to
it's pretty bad when you got to blur yourself out of your own sex tape.
Crop yourself.
You cropped it out.
Do you know what you're getting yourself into? I mean, because he's still in radio mode, just coming. What have you been doing today?
I thought about that on the way here. It kind of scared me.
I've been at the radio station all day. Yeah, this week's been really bad because Tony Cruz, he's our morning guy. He was off. So me and Vanetti did the morning show. Means I had to get up at 3:30. But I woke up at 1:30 and I thought, man, I'm never getting back to sleep. And of course I didn't. So I stayed up from 1:30, went in, did the show, and then we did our show, which is 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it's a bit of a crazy week. So I might be a little bit slap happy tonight.
Bring it. I'm strapped in.
I think it's great.
Let's make this happen.
I had to say this too. This is my old neighborhood.
I
used to live here before I got married. Yeah, and I lived a block over on Cherokee Road.
Were you a hippie chick? It's okay.
I don't know. I'm just me. I'm the same right now, really, that I was then.
How long were you in the Highlands, though?
I lived there for probably 2 or 3 years.
Okay. All right.
And I was from J-Town.
Is it a pain in the ass because there's no parking spots? So if you get an apartment, you got to park on the road.
That's what brought it up to my mind. I had a brand new Nissan, and it got trashed because you know what used to be down the street, right?
Phoenix Hill Tavern?
Yeah, Phoenix Hill, the brewery.
Totaled my car out sitting on the road.
But that's the one place I didn't mind going was Phoenix Hill Tavern because they had a parking lot.
They had a little, right,
yeah.
That was a cool place.
Miss it.
I do too.
It was funny. I've been the Levee on River Road.
That's a good place.
Very cool place.
That. I want to go there. I hadn't got to go there yet.
Great bands. It's I was there the other night with some people, and it is a more middle-aged crowd. You don't see younger people there. And someone said, Jim Porter's 2.0.
Oh, no. Did they? I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there.
We used to call it the Wrinkle Room, and quite frankly, I loved it.
It was really bad.
I love the Wrinkle Room.
But if you rub it enough, the wrinkles will come out.
I have to be really bad and say this. I knew some dude that when he couldn't get a date, that's where he went and looked for older women.
That's why I love the Wrinkle Room.
It was really bad. I'll be nice.
Another bar that was popular was it's close to here was Butchertown Pub.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
I love that.
It was big with the people that worked out. They had a big happy hour.
Yeah.
So there'd be guys in suits and stuff. They all bankers. So we all worked at United Parcel Service. We worked third shift. Right. All right. So, but what we would do on Friday is we would put on suits like we just got off from the bank. and go to Butchertown Pub in our suits.
Yeah.
And that way we
Look good,
he's got a
yeah,
suit.
yeah.
He must not work for UPS. Let's sleep with him.
Yeah.
And then after you sleep with me, hey, it's 3:30 in the morning. I got to go to UPS, and the look on their face is priceless, baby.
That O face went away.
Right.
Yeah, this is.
I didn't realize you worked at UPS.
Oh yeah, I was out there local
Were you
89.
on the-
I was on the ramp.
Okay, what, ground handling or fueling or
No, I drove
packages?
a tug and I drove a K loader. So I loaded airplanes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long y'all known each other?
Well, we've known each other, but
I swear to God, I thought we went to school together. It's like I've known you forever.
well, I know.
It's terrible, and I'm sorry.
We're
I just
same
feel like
age,
we've
right?
always been.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to
I don't
hit
know.
51.
I'm 51 right now.
Okay, yeah. You always looked familiar, but we never really hung out. We're
We've
gonna
been
start
trying
hanging
to.
out.
We've been
We're gonna-
trying to.
Now we're going to start hanging out,
Yeah.
Johnson. Let me tell you.
I tried to
Johnson.
fix my dog up with his dog, so I don't
What?
know. We're trying to set him up on a date.
You can't do that. My dog hates other dogs.
Oh,
Really?
He doesn't
Lemmy?
share. He
Lemmy?
doesn't.
Lemmy,
He
yeah.
won't share
Lemmy,
you.
man.
Lemmy won't share you.
See, the problem with Lemmy is Lemmy was chained to a tree for 8 months. He's a rescue.
Well,
So
good for you.
they get this dog aggression. Well, man, I'm telling you, it was the first time I took him for a walk, he turned on me, and I got this German Shepherd, and he's about 85 pounds at the time, and I don't know him, and he turns on me.
Really?
Yeah, and then so I called my buddy Ron, and he came over. He trains dogs. I said, I work with him. He's turning on me. He turned on Ron 3 times within like 40 minutes. I thought, man, but I'm not taking him back now. I've already adopted him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's doing much better now. So now he loves people, but he hates animals.
But he hates-
Oh,
hey,
He
gosh.
hates animals.
We
Progress.
rescued a lot of animals too because we have a mini farm in Bullitt County.
Yeah.
And we had horses, German shepherds, all kinds of stuff. And you brought up my late husband, Pope, and I want to tell you that coon ass was something else. He was something else. You just don't even know. He was like, we had these animals that were damaged. Appaloosa. He would get out there and he would knock it right. If it wasn't behaving, he'd just punch it right in the nose.
Yeah, I can see that.
The horse responded, but he prayed with him too and walked with him every day. Same thing on the dogs. One day a dog bit him, so he just bit him back on the nose.
Oh, that's great.
He fought right back with them and he tamed them, and they were great. They were some of our best pets.
Didn't you all have some kind of animals over at the Hearts of Fire Church, and they started to roam the neighbors' yards or something?
No, our neighbor.
Oh,
and
your
that wasn't
neighbors.
even us.
Okay.
We put a fence up though, a privacy fence. She had a pool over there. She had a great big pot-belly pig, a
Okay.
black one. She had goats, and they just rebuilt that home, so it's like a beautiful, expensive home, and they've got these animals roaming in the neighborhood. All our people just got pictures with them, Harleys and hogs.
Hey, that's right. Yeah.
You mentioned Pope. I got to know Dan through the music scene. Cool cat. Judah.
People just did not even know about
Yeah,
him
well-
on that. So much in there.
Politics. We didn't never discuss it. Safe to say, probably different perspective. Politics, religion, different perspective. But music always is a great
It's a
fucking
great
way to.
It's a great
bring people
uniter.
together.
man.
It's a uniter.
Exactly.
It is.
And so every time Chris Kerr, Chris,
I love
yeah,
Chris.
I love Chris, and but no Chris, and I would go every chance I'd go see him, and he's playing with them.
Their
Judah.
band was slamming, man. They were
I'm-
doing great.
Where were we at? Wicks.
Yeah.
Always at Wicks, and so I like Pope.
Thank
He was,
you.
and he's very, very nice to me. We tried to pin a time for him to, to make
Nobody
this
else
happen.
liked him, I'll tell you that.
I like it when you're talking about.
What's
I
not to
mean,
like?
So with some people, you just got to know them. Once you know them,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, to know them is to love them.
He was so far out there in such a good kind of way. Mm-hmm. It's freaked people out,
I'll never forget, and this will probably be anti-Kevin Hale, but
No, go.
a buddy of mine invited me when it wasn't even during the general election. It was during the primary. He said, "Hey, I've got VIP passes for this Trump primary rally." I said, "Yeah, okay,
Here.
yeah."
Right,
I said,
okay,
"Yeah,
yeah.
we'll go." So me and the wife, we go, and they're VIP'd out, but we still have to stay in the line, Secret Service a whole bit, and people are yelling at us and all that. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm just going to watch the guy talk, But they put us down, and it's packed, jam-packed. And before it starts, they said, all right, here to give the benediction, Dan Johnson. And I couldn't help.
For real?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's jam-packed with people, like a concert, and I'm right there. And I couldn't contain myself. And right before he prayed, I said, hey, Pope!
I think that's on tape.
And he looked down at me.
That was you?
Yeah, and he pointed at me, and then after he got off stage to bring on Trump, he gave me a hug and stuff. But it was just, it was almost surreal knowing Dan. And then here he is giving the benediction.
Did
That was
Trump
before
feel-
he got in politics, and they
Was
asked
it?
him to travel with them.
Oh, I didn't
Really?
know that.
Yeah,
No
he was talking
shit.
to him on the phone. And you know what? Y'all can't even believe this shit.
Oh,
He
keep
didn't
going.
even tell
This
me
is good
this. He
stuff.
did not even tell me this. One of the dudes in our church, we have a biker church, a lot of musicians, bikers, normal people with businesses. One of them has a garage. He said, he was the magistrate. He said, well, yeah, Pope put me on the phone with Donald Trump. I'm like, he didn't even tell me about that.
Did you go to that rally?
Yes,
Okay.
and he was back there with all of them hanging out, and they wanted him to start going and opening because he was so charismatic and gifted.
Well, he is.
I wish he would have done that
Yeah.
instead of the politics
Yeah.
thing. Because in religion you're always around politics, but you're never in it. But you are.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's true. It's ugly.
The church thing, I always associated the church, and I say it with due respect, it's heavy metal and Sons of Anarchy is how
And
right?
then we have these little badass little church ladies with their paints suits on and their
Yeah.
little meat stoves. I mean, we had such a cross mix of people, and they were just good people.
Well, look-
Veterans,
Right,
But,
yeah.
but look at your church band. You had Dave freaking Ernstbiker on
I've
guitar.
heard,
I
yeah.
mean,
Dave.
come on, man. Yeah, the day that I got the news of Dave Ernstbiker, it was just that's one of those where it just hollows you out.
I
You
know.
know?
Dan called me and he goes, "We lost him."
I mean, it just
Yeah, we speaking of Dave, Big Rock Show, they just kind of got back together and they had their big debut show or Big Rock Show 2.0 whatever at Billiards. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was a fun night. So, Pope, how you doing since?
I just now feel like I'm kind of waking up out of a bad dream. It's been about a year and 3 months, I guess, or something like that. But I've really been working on my health and being healthy and just enjoying life. And I've got a lot of business that's unfinished that I'm dealing with still. So I'm kind of, everything's hanging in the air, but I'm just being happy and going forward.
Social media. I fucking hate. Actually, I hate social media. If I didn't do this podcast, I would not. I would be on very little. To the point now, I turn my notifications on. I don't get that little ching or buzz or whatever. People want to reach out to me, need me, they'll call me, text or whatever. But I'm just not a fan. And this day we're so fucking divided. I mean, everyone's a badass on social media. You
Yeah.
get behind a keyboard, whether you're pro-Trump, anti, whatever. You're just right now. I mean, at each other. And I know Dan had his detractors, or so. Social media. I'm curious. How was that with you?
With me,
Yeah.
I was the maniac behind the scenes. I was behind the curtain doing all the social media. So he hated it, and it got so busy, I could not hardly even go anywhere and leave my computer, my laptop. He would call me and be like, "Do this, do that." So I used heck out of that media. I mean,
What was
we
the
had
fallout,
so
though,
many pages.
after? With,
Well, I shut some of those pages down or just hit them, because we just couldn't keep up with it all. And, it's really unfair because what happens is you get people across the nation that gets half a story that's slanted towards one way and it's not true. And then they all gang up. And so the one thing I always say about what really happened in the media was, it was ugly, but it was so much bullying, and I've been actually contacted by people that are involved in legislation that are wanting to go talk to Milena about the bullying in the media and stuff like that. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but one person can stand in their hometown, they can stand in their state, They could stand in the United States, but to have to fight the whole world's media, that was nobody can do that. That's crazy.
No, that's brutal. And it seems to me like the press is more concerned about being first than they are accurate. You know, and it's constantly. I think the public is just worn and done with
Clickbait.
Clicks,
Yeah, clickbait.
Right. I mean, it's like the headline, just keywords, but then you click it and you read it. I'm like,
I try to look at what I'm clicking on or sharing, you know. I don't want no fake news. Misinformation.
staying with politics. Are you good with Trump with what he's done so far?
I have to say this.
Say it.
Y'all, come on, everybody. He is a Yankee. What do you expect when you get mad at a Yankee who comes out boxing, taking up for themselves? I tell you, I have to make myself behave, but he don't. And I think a lot of that is he's, you know, like my husband, I understand this, and you probably have that too, that entertainer thing that just comes out. And he's got that big time. And so he gets the media's attention and they swing all that way. And I think a lot of that stuff ain't even real. It's orchestrated.
He's really good at playing the media at their own game too. You know, like him or love him, you got to admit, he uses them against himself all the time, you know?
Yep. I like the economy. I like that when I'm driving down south to go visit my family in Louisiana, that I get just about ran over by big semi-tractor trailers and the roads are packed in the middle of the night. Commerce is happening in America, y'all. I love it. Come on, we don't want to go back from that, do we?
America. You? Politics? Are you heavily in?
You know, there was a time where I was really heavily in politics. As a matter of fact, I ran in 2008 here. For the District 12 seat.
Oh, really?
And worked my ass off doing it. And then, I guess about 3 years ago, I decided that it was making me crazy. It's making me fucking crazy, these politics, you know?
They do.
And now I'm a little bit political just when I get pissed off. I've got to get really fucking pissed off to start talking politics.
Pick your battles.
Nice segue. You're not exactly, You've not been very happy with the direction of the office, mayor's office.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not. And you know, I'm glad you listen to this.
Is there anybody that is?
Well, and what he did, trying to dupe us with this tax, it unified Democrats, Republicans, and
awesome.
liberals,
I hadn't seen that
conservatives,
since.
independents, everybody alike. But here's what's really funny about you saying that. All right, the mayor's office and the mayor, and that's a true statement. But for Halloween, I got invited to a party, and the mayor was there. And I'm not particularly a fan of the mayor, but we sat there, and he had a bourbon, and I had a bourbon, and we sat there and drank, and we shot the shit. And
you did.
Oh, yeah. Greg, how you doing? He walked over, we started talking. So I started talking to him. Had a great conversation. Had a good time. And as I walked out, I looked at my wife, and I said, you know what? I'm never talking politics again, because that's a good guy. That's a good dude. And just because we don't get along, or we not get along, but we don't have the same vision, doesn't mean that we should. You know, it's a great divider, politics. Yeah. So that's what I said, and that's how it was until this, because the reason I'm not so mad at him because maybe that's his view, but just taxing and spending. Louisville's we're the 8th highest. Number 8 in the nation on tax cities, but the problem is there's so many programs that could be cut out. And I printed out the Louisville budget, and I looked at it. I looked at it myself, you know. And so just that's too easy of an answer. We'll just tax them again. Well, no. Let's look and see where we make these cuts. And what pisses me off even more is people have come forward, citizens, taxpayers said, how about cutting this? How about cutting that? Yeah, and they don't even want to listen. Yeah. Some of the council doesn't want to even listen. So in my opinion, what's going on is, okay, I didn't get my way. Well, I'm going to stamp my feet, and I'm going to fucking cut police, and that's bullshit. Because in my opinion,
first responders should be
the government's job. I don't pay for fucking hug centers and ping pong centers, okay? I pay taxes because I want roads, police, fire, EMS. I want schools. All this other shit is not necessary. And before people start saying, well, have a heart and fucking, let me tell you this, man. I volunteer my time all the time. I contribute and donate to all kinds of places, all right? I don't need the government to donate for me because, quite frankly, if the government gets involved, they're going to fuck it up.
Right.
If you don't believe me, look at the
True
United
story.
Parcel Service. I mean, UPS, not UPS, but the Postal Service.
Yeah.
They lose millions of dollars each day. But privatized parcel places, UPS and FedEx, they're making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So if you don't think the government's going to fuck it up, you're wrong.
I wish
man.
we had a civilian board that could review
Wait a minute,
just
I
all
thought
the staffing
there's
and
not-
everything. I don't know. Do we?
I thought there was some
I mean, if
type
they
of
ran the city like we have to run our businesses and our households,
See, that's the problem.
and
is,
it's not fair to us.
Yeah, be good stewards of our tax dollars. Listen, every home in Louisville, Kentucky, and every family, every single parent, they have to conduct themselves. They say, we got to pay this mortgage, then we got to pay LG&E, and that, hey man, there's guitars.
Can't afford the movies this week, man.
Yeah, there's
Gotta pay the
guitars I
rent,
want.
right? Real people.
There's an amp I'd want. There's all kinds of shit I'd love to buy, Kevin, but I can't. I could. I'd be out on my ass, but so to constantly fall on the taxpayer when it's not necessary, that did piss me off. So I got a bit vocal.
This isn't the city I grew up in.
It's not.
It is not. And when they took it into the metro, the burbs have suffered terribly.
One of the line items in the budget was $600,000 annually for trees. How much? You got the wrong fucking tree guy, because I'll give you a whole big bag of acorns, 50 cents. But my point is, we're spending money on shit that we don't need, that's not necessary. But if the first cut is really going to be police, the recruiting class, come on,
Why
man.
do they always go to the fear tactics? I hate that.
Well, I think, and I don't know, I can't speak for Mayor Fisher, but it seems to me like he wanted to prove a point, stamp his feet, and his buddy, Police Chief Conrad, said, yeah, okay, let's get rid of a recruiting class.
He actually, I didn't know that. So the chief agreed.
It was like 2 days later.
Oh,
Conrad's the one,
totally missed
yeah.
that, yeah.
Dear Lord.
So, but anyway, so that's why I don't like talking politics. I tend to get pissed off, but
It's your money, honey.
right,
And people, I love what you've been doing on Facebook. I don't mean to interrupt
no,
you.
that's fine.
But I spied on your page today because I was like, I want to see what he's been posting because I catch stuff, but I didn't read it all.
Yeah.
So I was looking through the comments, reading this stuff today, and I'm like, you're rallying folks to do what we desperately need to do. We've got these politicians, and I saw it in Frankfurt.
You're in
They're
a
like,
position
they
to,
do what
though.
they want.
You have a voice.
Well,
Yeah, you're
do have a
doing
voice.
awesome by rallying folks to speak up. Please speak up. These dudes are doing what they want, not what you want. And if you don't start letting them hear your voice, they're never going to do it.
But it wasn't just me. It's all kinds of people. It's Terry Miners, Leland Conway, Vanetti. But yeah, we addressed it on the show, and I promised on the show, I said, listen, any Metro Council member that votes to approve this tax, I'll announce your name, and I'll put it on social media every single day. And so I made a post like that, and it was really monumental what happened because I thought it was done. I thought the tax was all but done. He went in, he wants to triple our tax. We're only going to double it. It's a win. Fuck you, it's a win. So
Can we say that on here?
I hope so. We can, yeah.
That is one of my favorite cuss words. Don't tell me.
I'll listen. Bring it on. But people started sharing this post. And then the very next day after the vote, after it was defeated, I shared all the names. I'm going to continue to do it through their term until re-election. Because here's the thing, Kevin. I'm sure that some of them might have felt it was a necessary tax. I think some of them are more worried about a lame duck mayor who can't run again, who just wants it pushed through. And he wants
Right.
to, this is his last term.
Dwight, why don't you run for mayor?
No, thank you. No, thank
look.
you. No,
Your
thank
team
you.
right here. We'll help.
Witten's kittens.
Witten's kittens.
That's badass. I need a.
That's why I called female walkers that walked with me in 08 Witten's kittens. Wonder why I didn't win. But I think it's monumental because the taxpayers say, enough, and they started contacting. Because generally, think of what happened here, guys. People had to cross party lines to get this
So
voted
awesome.
down. And I think more of that should go on both sides. More
I love
Republicans,
reading that.
more Republicans should cross Democratic lines and vice versa.
Yes.
And that's what's starting to happen. The message was sent.
Unity, man.
People are fed up. We're taxed to death. Find another fucking way to conduct your business. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm heated. So
Dang it.
It's so good,
The
though.
F-bombs will drop down, I promise you. And you'll probably have comments under this going, blank that Witten
your
guy.
wife will probably appreciate you coming home very mellow and
Yeah. Get it out of my system now.
romantic.
Let's talk about kittens.
kitty. Here,
Let's talk about puppies.
Puppies.
Oh, boy, we can't
That
get away
sounds
from
a lot safer.
we can't get away from innuendo, can
no,
we?
we can't. I mean, we're all adults here.
Yeah,
Well,
that's how we have fun, though.
The next logical animal would be gerbil, but I guess I'll skip that.
Oh,
too.
God, please don't talk about that.
All right, take 3 seconds. The visual. Go on.
No.
All right, stay in some topics in town. What's your take on how this deal with the teachers, the pension, and then the teachers, the sick out or whatever they call that?
Oh, wow.
How do you think?
That's like opening Pandora's box when you said that, because there's so many facets to that. And, my husband fought like hell, pissed the governor off big time, and he turned a lot of the other, representatives to his thinking. He stood up for them. He was communicating with them and everything, but they still are angry that what they passed only got contentious because of how they did it. So they had to go back and do some technicalities.
Wasn't this like in the middle of the night in a 400-page document or something? It was. I don't know.
Sewer bill.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But, it's just, I hate that the kids were penalized. I feel like nothing changed, and the kids are going to be out of school, and I hate that the teachers are so angry always. And I can say this because I would spend literally 8 hours a day responding to emails from teachers and state workers on my husband's behalf. It was thousands. And he really did try, and I know he made an impact in stopping the initial first things that they were coming up with, and working with the superintendents and trying to do something that would appease everyone. And I just want them to get to the point where, hey, the governor's been funding it. It wasn't funded prior to him being in office, and now they've made appropriations for change where it will be funded in the future. And when do they say, okay, thank you? It's not perfect, but it's what we got. Let's go forward and quit going back. Let's move forward with our schools.
The pension system's not set up to work. The pension system we have as it exists right now. But with that said, if you make a promise to somebody and that's their career choice, by God, we gotta honor that. That's just my opinion. Okay,
I agree.
But with that said, you might as well go ahead and cross the line and say, okay, any teacher coming on from this point forward, you're going to be responsible just like the private sector. You'll get your Social Security like the private sector, because teachers won't with the pension. But these teachers, they work hard, man. My sister-in-law is a teacher, and she because I always tell her, I said, look, you're a teacher. Y'all got, for lack of a better word, a union. It's not a union. I said, why not just, because she's close to retirement, I'm just kneel down, just run out the clock, give everybody an A. And it's just. There's a certain.
Give everybody.
There's a certain.
I wish you were my teacher.
Well, she won't do it, and that's my point. Is there's a certain passion for most teachers. They're in it not for the money. Obviously, they're in it for the love.
Right.
And God bless her. These teachers, they come home, and their day's not over because now they're grading all of these classes' paperwork, and that goes on till 9. Right. And people say, yeah, but they're off on the summer. Well, so what? You got to measure that with the payment and the work hours when they're in school. Right. But the pension, the system's broke.
Well, what's your take on the commissioner? What is this? Wayne Lewis's request to get the list of all the sick out teachers.
I think it's bullshit. Bullshit.
Can you,
I just think it's soundbite.
Okay, but number one, can you do that with the HIPAA law? Number two. Listen. Have
they done something? Because this was looking at a news article. JCPS and other districts have sent the list to state officials.
But if you're vomiting, all right, you've got some kind of stomach bug, you're not necessarily going to go to a doctor. right?
Right.
You're going to throw up and you're going to call in and say, I hope this runs its course in a
shit
day.
runs its course. You gotta-
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, so not you don't go to the doctor for everything. I mean, quite frankly, in 2019, you can't go to the doctor on everything. You're on
You can't get a damn appointment.
yeah, and you're on an HSA, so you got to measure it. Do I want to go? Do I want to let this fractured arm heal on itself and save it in case I break a back? You know, but you can't go to the doctor in 2019 for everything. You know, so I'll tell you, if we're going to talk litigation, legislation, all of that, I want to talk about recently what happened in Frankfurt with legalization of marijuana.
That's my next topic too.
Because I got a
Damn.
peek behind the freaking curtain on this,
Bring it.
and so we had on WHS a WHS town
Go on and
hall.
plug that. Keep plugging.
On News Radio 840 WHS, but we had
Brought to you by Shooting Roulette. Go ahead.
so we had a town hall. We had Senator Dan Simon.
That's right. Yeah,
we
you
had
did
a
that.
doctor. We had
We're
me-
on Senator Symes' team.
Yeah, they are on Senator Simons' team,
Yep.
by the way.
We got our SB 80 T-shirts.
So what I found out is that this House bill was being held up in committee by one person, this guy Petrie, Representative Petrie. And I said, you got to be kidding me. And he said, well, that's the way. So number one, the system's broke.
Y'all made him famous.
So
on
here,
social media.
so here's what I did. I went to his page, and on the government page, it had his home number, cell phone number, office number,
Public
email,
real?
Twitter, all
Public
that.
information.
Probably not
Public-
anymore.
Well, no. So I
No, I think,
posted it.
yeah.
I posted it. And I said, listen, this one person is holding up this bill from getting to the floor. Call and let him know that it's not his responsibility to sit his ass on it, put it through and put it to a vote. Well, within a day, it got to be like 1,200 shares all over Kentucky. Well, the next day, it was taken down, and it said I'd violated community standards from Facebook, which I did not. All the information on
It was
there.
public.
It was public
Yeah,
and on a
somebody reported
on a
it.
government page.
Yeah.
He
Did
disabled.
they call that doxing? Does that fall under that?
Doxing is, I think, if you're a public figure and you're in an office,
Right.
and it's public information, I don't see how it could be.
Well, I
doxing.
know, but I'm saying, is that what they're saying? Is it?
I don't
on
know.
social media,
I
do they-
think I think they just
All right.
they just took it off and assumed the worst. I don't know, but
But again, it was,
he disabled his Twitter account. My point is going back to Metro Council. If you vote to raise our taxes, or if you sit on a bill because you don't think it should be passed, it's horseshit. You should be responsible for your actions. And we need to start making these politicians famous. Let people know what their vote is.
I feel like this year, Dan worked on medical marijuana, and we also worked a lot on the hemp stuff because that's in the tobacco bill. No guts.
Right.
All these states around us want to, do trade, and we can't because we're working out the bounds of the law.
I'm asking an honest question here. Is the resistance with marijuana primarily from the conservative side? Is it who
No.
really?
No, there's all kinds of stuff involved in that. Pharmaceuticals,
Yeah.
alcohol.
It's a lot of big pharma.
And a lot of these dudes in Frankfurt have farms.
Yeah, no, that's true. Some
Families
of them
have farms, and there's
hemp
stuff going
farms.
on, behind the scenes. So
there's
it's
conflict
very
of
much
interest.
conflict of interest.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Sad.
we did a lot of research going into this, and there was a poll on through the state of Kentucky, and it was 45% Republican, 45% Democrat, and then 10% Independent on should medical marijuana be legalized. 85% it came back in favor of legalization of medical marijuana.
No
Yeah.
fucking brainer to me.
So, at what point, if a politician is not voting the views of the constituent, but voting the views of the politician,
That's what's going on, man.
then you need to get your ass up and get out of that seat and put someone in there who's going to represent the constituents. Right. But I think that's what happened minutely this past Thursday when people started crossing lines. They realized people are fed up with it.
Yeah, they are. And that's another subject. Beside the budget in Louisville, the other subject is medical marijuana. They gripe and complain. We have opioid crisis, and there's no resolve. We can't have medical marijuana. It's just a mess. They
What's
need to
your take
get
on
off the pot.
recreational?
I'm going to tell you what I think.
Please.
I'm for SB 80 because 136 will be covered. And what I feel like in my heart, there's too much bullshit with the medical marijuana. There's going to be so many restrictions and everything. If you just pass it across the board, ABC can take over, state police can get in there and do what they do. Everything's already in place for marijuana, and they just need to let it happen.
Well, see, Bevan made the comment that even if we got gaming and even if we had responsible use marijuana, it's not going to cover.
It's too late for gaming, y'all.
He said it's not going to help us cover the deficit. That's like saying, okay, I would work a part-time job to pay my house off early, but working for a week is not going to pay off my house. So what's the point?
Right.
Hey, dumbass, it's contributing towards the deficit.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Big picture.
So I think people are fed up with not getting represented.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's just my opinion, it seems like the politicians don't realize that we voted them in,
Right.
and we can, by God, vote their ass out. And I think a lot of that's going to be starting to come.
Yeah, it's like they're not available, and they're going to do what they're going to do.
Right.
And once they get there, it's like they get put down in that little vice. And that my husband was a problem because he wasn't going with the herd.
Yeah.
He wasn't one of the sheep, and he didn't do it to be contentious, but he was out there with the people trying to help the people. And that's what happened when he was there. It was resistance the whole time to good stuff, man.
Yeah, they say people don't change Washington. Washington changes people, and that's been true up to this point.
Agree.
But I think it's starting to waver a little bit.
It is.
You know?
I see a shift. I've been in this for a long time and just watching it, not even in the middle of it, and I can see a huge change. I lived out in LA when Reagan was there. I mean, it was awesome. And I see that happening again. Everybody was wearing gold, man. We were all wearing gold. And everybody could start a business, have cash flow. It was awesome, and I feel like we're getting back right there again.
I remember cocaine being everywhere too, but I don't think that was Reagan. Him and Nancy were kind of against that, if I recall.
Here's another thing locally, and I'm gonna talk some national stuff. Did you hear about the Louisville Library / drag queen thing?
I missed that.
Yeah.
You did really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the story is that they were going to have drag queens come in and just read stories to kids.
We just talked about something
Okay.
like that on the way here.
Well, that got nixed initially.
And I've got a Oliver Stone conspiracy theory on that.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
but
Right-o.
since the Louisville Library has just put out an article or story actually that they are now going to host this.
Oh
But-
my God.
but-
You're kidding. Yeah, I liked your post that you put about, I'm going to call to get EMS
Oh, yeah.
here. I'm going to call the librarian because they're going to get the services.
The other day I said Mayor Fisher's perfect world, and I had someone breaking in a home, and it said 911. What's your emergency? Taxpayer. Someone's breaking into my house. 911. Sit tight. We're going to send a librarian because listen, the library budget, it's safe. Well, how is
It's
that?
huge.
It's-
you know that is huge, and
Yeah, I'm
every
sure
little
it is,
area
right,
has
yeah.
a library. It's huge.
and that's my conspiracy theory is they canceled the transgender or trans
Well, actually,
the
it's-
drag
well,
queen.
It's- yeah.
I don't know the
Yeah.
political correct terms,
Yeah.
so they canceled that in March, and then it was right before the vote on the tax increase. They lose. They said, put it back on. You know, they can't hurt us now.
I think you're on this. I think you're right.
Oof, it's horrible.
You know, right does rhyme with Dwight. So,
I think it's a new slogan. Dwight is always right.
Well,
get right.
I used to
Get
call,
right with Dwight in the morning.
I used to call myself Dwight to the right, but that's because. Never mind.
Is that how it
Certain things were worn to the right and still are today.
Still are today? Your quick take. I mean, what was your thought on the whole drag race? Were you good with the?
No, I'm not good with that.
Okay.
And Kelly, my friend, is from Wisconsin, and she's been coming here for years, and she just up and moved here, and so we've been partners in crime. And I was just telling her, it's unbelievable. The libraries used to be volunteer. It was a love of the books, and there were good quality books, classics. Now there's so much liberal garbage in there, just giving our kids garbage in their head. And I didn't even know about that. I said, if they weren't so liberal, it would be awesome, but they've become very liberal and indoctrinative to our kids. And then they're going to get involved in politics now. We need to shrink that budget and put it towards some other things in the budget. They need to go back to volunteerism and a love for books, not social agendas.
Look, I would love to have hug centers and ping pong community houses or wherever the fuck we're investing in right now. It's great, but if you can't afford it, you can't afford it at this point.
Common sense.
So what's
duh.
important? What's important? Police, fire, EMS, roads, school. That's about it. I mean,
Right. Roads. Did you say roads?
roads. Yeah.
Roads.
No, absolutely.
Potholes.
Yeah,
Roads.
absolutely. And that's another
Really
thing.
bad right now.
Prior to this tax vote, if you dialed 311 and you said, "Hey, I've got a pothole at 28th Dumanil, wherever it may be," they were responding back as a dictate, saying, "We don't know if we'll be able to fix this due to the tax crisis." Well, horse shit.
Oh my Lord!
Let's get what
no, they didn't.
No, they did. 311 was doing that.
Jeez. Oh
but
my
here's the
God.
thing. Hey, we've already paid for this. It did, we've already paid our portion into that, so don't hold that over to our head,
I've replaced my tire and rim over $400. I'm on
It's
Ford
easy-
Fusion.
it's easy to
and they
do.
wouldn't do it. The state has a fund. Hello, y'all. In case you don't know this, the state has a fund, state and city. If your car is damaged due to a large pothole, you can submit an application online to the transportation department, and they'll get you to the right people, and you can get a refund. Sometimes I didn't get
know that.
refunded. Mine was like right on the Bullitt County, Jefferson County line, and they didn't do it.
Going back to libraries, Leland Conway had what I think is a great idea. He said, "Why don't we take these libraries, privatize them, and then get corporate sponsors?"
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. Yep.
Because there's other things. Just when I said, people sometimes give me a hard way to go and say, "Well, you don't like charity, you don't like helping others." I would challenge a lot of people to find out what percentage of their income they donate to charity against mine, and what hours they donate against mine. There are a lot of people, just like
Wow.
the keyboard tough guys on Facebook, that say, "Hey, this, that, and
They
the other."
don't give an hour of their time to the
there's a lot of
community. They don't give back.
Right, and that's my point.
I know that.
Usually the people stomping their feet and yelling the loudest,
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Hey, we need this to give back to the community," aren't giving shit back to the
That's
community.
it.
I don't need the
The
government to do
biggest
that for me.
critiquers. We don't need the government and nonprofit. I'm sorry, y'all. We were fine for a long time with the local churches and centers of faith that were helping families get jobs, helping them with marital problems, feeding them. And there was such a repertoire with the communities that you didn't have a lot of the problems we have now. Now the government's involved. The churches can't hardly even do their job because they're competing with the government. Don't get me going on that,
Well, here's
man.
what I'm
I've
gonna throw
suffered
at
over
you.
that one.
I've got friends who run support groups for like homeless.
Yes.
So they're looking at things getting cut for them.
Yes.
Does the churches do enough? Why can't the
No,
churches?
they do not.
But why not? Why
Okay.
not?
Y'all, I was raised Catholic, and I'm a Bible thumping spiritual woman. But
FYI,
you know what?
I
Let me
asked
tell
that
you
question
something.
knowing the answer,
church
but I just-
is not the church that it used to be. We're a far cry from the fishermen. That's why we like that we were down to earth people, bikers, musicians, real people. But the big churches, they can't get too overly involved in that because they got to indoctrinate their flock to come to church and tithe. And a lot of that is control, control, control. If you can't give out of your heart, why give it all? And what I love is a lot of the people in our community, church or not, wherever you go, you can express your faith by helping people. And that's what I really love. And I'm not having regular church services. I have Bible studies. I still do funerals, weddings, all kinds of stuff. But I mean, man, the people I know in my community, they go by themselves with nobody watching them. Give money, give food, go do things, I went a few weeks ago and loaded up a box truck with a bunch of bedding from the Gald House and had a ball with a guy home from Afghanistan, a friend of mine, And so if we all did our part,
I agree. If everybody would give just a little bit.
we don't need the government in that.
But there's always going to be poor. There's always going to be homeless,
Yep.
no matter what.
Yep.
You can't wipe it out, but everybody can at least try to
Yes.
give a helping hand up.
Yes.
Schools. What'd you think of the what was it, the Full House lady, girl, or Laura, or whatever her name is, was about the basically paying the schools
To get 'em in.
to get them in.
Yeah, what-
And, here's one thing: the celebrities or the people who was doing it was taking a lot of shit, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But I'm not hearing people blasting the schools because it's in like a two-way. What am I missing here?
No,
Why
I'm not, absolutely.
Yeah.
But my only argument was one of them I saw gave $6.9 million. And I was like, why don't you just give the kids $6.9 million and say, don't fuck it up? You know, because if I could go to college or just have $6.9 million, $6.9 million, hell,
Right.
But was it the premise for the parents doing this is to give their child this notion that they got into this prestigious school,
Elite school.
Yeah, because was the parent? I mean, was the kid involved? I think in some cases the kid had no idea that the parents were donating this.
well, they got the shingle hung on them forever now, though. Let me
Wow.
tell you, you know.
So
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mom. Could have took the $6.9 million and got a degree from the back of Rolling Stone like everybody else.
A lot of crazy stuff going on.
what about recently Michael Jackson's Neverland?
I haven't seen that
Yeah,
yet.
I haven't seen it either. But the fallout there, the fallout with that, and then tie in because it involved kids, and then R. Kelly, which was underage girls. What's up with these celebrities and their fetishes and but Michael Jackson.
I go between they're perverts to they're doing it for attention. I don't know.
You know,
They're just messed up.
I don't condone Michael Jackson, but I can understand how he got there. If you look at his childhood
Yeah.
and you look at his dickhead
It's a tough
dad,
industry.
you know,
Yeah.
and the shit that he would put those kids through.
Is it true that he did some type of castration to him to keep his voice?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know. If
I
that's
know
true.
the straight
Yeah,
home from school.
I
and
liked him when he was on Soul Train, little black kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved the whole family thing back then,
But
and I liked him when he
it
got
was
older
the
too.
dad.
But
The
still,
dad, man,
it's
is
two different people.
Brutal.
Oh, he was a real
He
son
was
of a bitch
mental.
to those kids, you know. I mean, but anyway, and he was in the limelight, this Michael kid, and it's like you look at all these children stars. We had what's his name? He played Greg Brady. We had him on the show
Barry
a couple
Williams.
weeks ago. Yeah, Barry Williams. I said, man, a lot of these kids. I said, you were a child star. Look at you. You did great. He's living in Branson. He's doing good. Got a wife, family, head on his shoulders. But I said that's not the case with most of these kids.
No.
You know, usually if you got a child star, it's going to screw them up royally. You know,
All the money and fame and
it was
corruption.
interesting what he said. He said if you look at the Brady Bunch, and none of the kids really got screwed up in life, okay? And it never really clicked, but it made sense what he said. He said we had 6 of us. There were 6 kids there. We would act and do all this other shit, and we could commiserate with each other. But then you take Buffy and Jody or whoever, and you got 1 or 2 kids, and they separate. They've got no support group.
Buffy and Jody, a different show, by the way. But
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
it-
Family Affair.
No, that's why. Yeah, family.
Mrs. Beasley.
But I'm saying if you take the kids,
Yeah.
they're just 1 or
What's it-
2
Art,
kids.
was it Art Linkletter's daughter that did LSD and like dove off a building or something
Oh, I
crazy?
don't know.
Yeah, that was.
and then speaking of Barry Williams, what in real life Barry and
Dating the
Care
mother,
about-
yeah,
yeah,
or,
yeah.
or not dating, for lack of a better term.
banging?
For lack of a better
You
term.
had the ing right.
Yeah. Florence Henderson's her
Henderson.
name.
She dated
yeah.
him.
She,
Well, no, she-
I wouldn't call it dating.
Yeah.
She had fun.
You see, they had fun together, but you got to think about it. How hot is that, man? Because every teenage kid picks a mother figure that not a mother figure, but somebody's mom is hot to them. You know,
Yeah.
and this was a hot mom actress, whatever. Yeah. So anyway, but he did.
And then with R. Kelly, clearly that guy's.
I don't know what's going on there, man.
I mean, it's just his obsession with underage, teeny boppers, and when the story was is that when he got bailed out, got bailed out, the first place he went to was the McDonald's that he
Oh, yeah, yeah.
supposedly would go to,
Yikes.
solicit these.
So it's an illness.
Taunting.
I don't know. If we were down south, the men in town would take care of that. That's the way it should be in our communities, you
Texas
know?
justice.
Accountability
Well, we do have
to your neighbor.
what's Fisher call them? Interrupters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's one of the programs where these they're taking people that have criminal backgrounds. And listen, I've got friends that did state time. I got friends that did federal time. People change, man, and I was actually in the prison ministry for 8 years. People change. That's not what I'm saying. But are you really going to cut a police recruiting class, but keep a group of former criminals, which by the way, one of them was picked up allegedly for raping and beating a woman recently.
Yeah, I saw
but we're
that.
paying these people $33,000 a year. And what freaks me out is we find out about programs like this, and the first thing that popped in my mind is, okay, we know about this. What kind of shit don't we know
A
about?
lot.
You know? Because if you see the tip of that iceberg, the hell's underneath down here?
There's so many things, even when they finance equipment in cities and it gets put on the budget and they just keep making these payments. Well, the thing gets paid off and the city's still getting this payment out of the budget.
Well, Fisher,
Crazy stuff.
One of his rebuttals leading into this tax vote is he said, listen, we got to get this tax pushed through. This is really starting to irritate vendors that have contracts with the city. So the only way that resonated with me, and that's the only way I can view this, is you're more concerned about vendors that we're going to pay money to than you are your tax-paying citizens. And there's a lot that ruffled my feathers. I'm an easygoing guy. You've known me for years, But sometimes
I love it, Dwight, and I think you're leading the charge, and it's awesome because that's what we need as leaders, because everybody wants to sit back and give their opinion, but you got to get up at some point and get involved. Pick
Voice
something.
of the voiceless.
Yes. I mean, but I'm always into all kinds of stuff. It's my therapy. But, I mean, I want to do good things, so I pick and choose what I do. I can't do everything. I can't win every battle, but I pick things that I can actually be effective in. So I wish everybody would get a little involved. Pick something, a PTA meeting or your church or neighborhood watch, or pick up the trash in your neighborhood, or do something.
there's tons of ways to give back.
Yeah.
Tons of ways.
It makes you so enriched.
Here's one thing. A friend of mine, his name was Buddy Howard, and you always have one thing at least you remember from every single friend you have. And the one thing I remember from Buddy Howard, he said, if you're down in the dumps and you're screwed up, go serve somebody,
Amen.
and you'll feel differently.
That's it.
And let me tell you, man,
The
if you're-
worse off you are, you get out there and give your heart away to somebody and help them, and you'll get healed quick.
you feel better, man.
Yeah.
You do.
It's the proverbial. If you think you got it bad,
Somebody's got it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Jesse, what is it?
Smollett.
Yeah. Well, did you hear about that?
I don't understand this.
Do you hear what happened today?
Yeah, they wiped him clean, no charges.
Yeah, dropped the charges. Wiped. Yeah.
I'm sure
clean slate.
I'm sure the chief of police of Chicago is just fucking thrilled right now.
Is this because something that the police did wrong? I mean, I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten that far into because I've been at work and in production and all this other stuff. But I did catch it on the way here that all charges have been dropped, and it's mind blowing. I don't know. I mean, so I really can't comment on that because unlike other
So your official comment is no comment?
well, unlike media that just want to get
We need
shit out there.
We need some updates.
Right.
We need some different
Stay
media
tuned.
outlets
By the
to
time I have this
resource.
uploaded, I might have a different answer for it. Share with people your love for Van Halen.
What about
Van Halen?
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
Love
How
Van
long?
Halen.
I mean, was
All my life,
Yeah.
man. Are you kidding me? When I first put
is
that
it
needle,
David Lee over Sammy?
no.
They're two different entities.
It's two totally
Yeah.
different Van Halens. But let me tell you, 1978, when that needle hit that record on Van Halen 1, I was hooked. Second one, and I
What
never
was the first song? That was it.
And look,
no, Running with the Devil.
Yeah,
right?
Running with the Devil.
Yeah.
And I never looked. It was just. I mean, it was something that I had never heard before. And it took America by storm. But truth be told, I like the Sammy Hagar version better just because,
I think they were just better songs.
I think they're both equally as, iconic, but I just like Sammy Hagar as a person a lot more than I like David Lee Roth. Last time I saw Van Halen, it was on the, we saw him on Different Kind of Truth, and we saw several dates on that last tour they did. And we were watching them, and David Lee Roth shushed Eddie Van Halen on guitar so he could start scatting. And I elbowed my wife, and I said, do you know why Van Halen's going to break up again? And she said, no. I said, right fucking there.
Yeah.
But there's rumors now that they're coming out, 50th anniversary, they're going to do 4 shows or so.
Wow.
And so we'll see what happens.
With who?
With David Lee Roth.
Just with David Lee Roth.
At one point, Sammy Hagar floated out the idea, and I thought this was great. Because I don't know Sammy
Because
Hagar.
Michael Anthony's totally done with him, right?
No, we're bringing Michael Anthony
they're
back.
bringing Michael,
But the way they're bringing Michael Anthony back is bullshit. From what I've heard so far, is it's going to be Wolfgang on bass, and then Michael Anthony will come back and play one song, Somebody Give Me a Doctor, and a bass solo, and that's that. I think the fans want the original Van Halen lineup, from head to toe for the whole show. But Sammy Hagar had a great idea. He said, "Here's what we'll do. Let's take the whole Van Halen out. I'll go, or David Lee Roth, you go out and do 2 songs, drop back, I'll do 2 songs. 2 songs, 2 songs." I think that'd be a hell of a show, man.
awesome.
I mean, if you take ego out, they'd make a fucking fortune.
They
Good
no,
God.
But they wouldn't be good performers. They need that to get out there and flaunt it, man.
Well, Sammy does it. I mean,
Sammy, he's still
we
kicking
we
ass,
go to
man.
Cabo San Lucas for his birthday party.
Every year, yeah.
And it's a bar about the size of Baxter's 942. It's not a huge joint, man. It's not a big bar, and he'll pull up and high five the fans. The whole bit. It's really surreal. So I don't know.
That's his favorite band. What's your all-time favorite?
I've been having a revival of music in my life. Since my husband passed away, I've always been a rocker. I
Yeah.
love Bob Seger. I grew
Yeah.
up going to all the concerts. We had awesome concerts in Louisville growing up here, and that's when we could go down front and jam and party and smoke and drink and do everything we wanted to
Right.
do. Now we have to go sit down and sit in those terrible seats up in the Young Center and get vertigo, and I ain't getting them seats no more, y'all.
Do you remember the LRS used to have a $2 Derby Eve jam?
Oh my God, I love Derby
And it-
Jam.
and it wasn't-
Mardi Gras downtown.
Yeah, and it was
Freaking awesome.
Like REO Speedway was
Oh yeah,
headlining acts
everything.
at Freedom Hall.
Loved it.
I did too. And then another thing that changed rapidly was Central Avenue at Churchill Downs used to be the biggest, funnest, scariest, craziest party. I remember you would walk through and the police would be like, "You go in there, you're on your own." And it was kind of like Escape from New York shit, People banging in the ivy, people throwing things, people fighting, blood, mud, guts everywhere. Then you just go in and party. Well, that got cleaned up. That's no more.
They just won't let us have fun no more.
Right.
I hate that.
Well, that, with the whole Central Avenue thing, I mean, that basically was to just clean up the image because
Yeah.
of all the big celebrities coming in.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's an
Yeah.
impression kind of thing.
But at some point, Louisville needs to. At one point, the Oaks was Louisville's day at the Louisville's day at the
Our
Downs.
day.
And then I got moved to Wednesday, and then back. At some point, I mean, is it really our track or not?
Home folks.
Right. That's just my opinion again.
Your opinions are allowed here.
Did you all ever go in the infield before they organized it? When it was like
Actually,
mud
I did
and
not.
bikinis and massive
No,
partying?
absolutely, yeah. But it blew my mind. I think it's like $50, $60 to get in the infield
Just
right
so
now.
yeah.
You gotta be
Now.
kidding me, man.
It was like another country in there.
That was great. The way they had their own mayor. Remember the mayor of the infield?
Yeah.
That was the best derby I ever went to.
Yeah, and and pre 9/11, it was fun to sneak shit in. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a lot easier, by the way. But after 9/11, things changed across the board for everything for obvious reasons.
Probably. Shit. Anything going on with you all that y'all want to talk about?
Well, since you brought that up, we're fixing to have a big Lincoln Reagan dinner in Bullitt County. And Bullitt County is the second fastest growing county in the state. I'm proud to say.
I lived right close there.
I lived in J-Town when I grew up, and it wasn't anything. And I worked out west and worked for years out there. And when I came back, we settled in J-Town where I was at, and then we got property in Mount Washington, and we've lived there since '94. And I love it. But the GOP thing is changed. This last time they had elections, it totally went red. There was a big red wave. I think it was a referendum over my husband's passing. I really do. I heard so much about it. And it's just good things happening out there. Literally, the PVA was not even on software. It was in ledgers and binders.
Wow.
I mean, you guys don't even know. And so for the GOP to go in there and take over all these offices as heads, it's been huge. So we're fixing to have our biggest fundraiser of the year, and we have a lot of people coming in to speak, and that's what we've been working on. And it's pretty exciting. If anybody's interested, you can go to my page, and I'll have something posted on there, or Bullitt County GOP, and all us girls are going to dress up real pretty, and we're going to have auctions and dinner and drinks and dancing. And what's the name of that band?
The Whisker Rides.
Whiskey Barrel Bottom Boys.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's what they're called.
do they-
Whiskey Barrel Bottom Boys or something.
They singing one of them old time mics. I'm a man, constant sorrow.
It looks like that. That's what I called them. I said I know it's not their name, but I keep calling the Saggy Bottom Boys.
Saggy bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but look, we have fun everywhere we go, and there's a new face on the GOP in Bullitt County. I got donated a gun this week from Knob Creek, getting ready to go to the machine gun shoot, y'all. Do y'all ever go to that? It's
Yeah.
so much fun.
The last time I went to the machine gun shoot at Knob Creek, Arlie Ermy, the actor, he's got rest his soul, and he went up in a helicopter and turned sideways, and he took a 50 cal and blew up a boat.
Are you serious?
Awesome.
Man, these machine gun shoots
You
are the
don't
craziest
even
shit
know.
you ever seen
They
in your
blow
life.
I had to
shit
watch
up,
Full
man.
Metal Jacket the other day, by the way.
Yeah, right.
And they've got cool trails out there now. You can actually go out there like a sniper, and they have stuff popping up. I couldn't do that. I'm going to go get self-defense lessons and become more proficient.
Come on,
Ladies,
start
if
hanging
y'all are
with you.
interested, they're carrying purses out there now, too. Concealed carry purses.
How about that?
Badass.
It is.
You're a badass.
Well, thank you.
I'd say. with
I've
all due
survived.
She could kung fu your ass,
respect. I
too.
was gonna say. We'll wind this down. I do a little rapid fire Q&A that I call Round of Shots.
Okay.
Have fun with it. First concert you attended?
I think Bob Seger.
It was about
Yeah.
John Denver.
Oh, God.
It was the early 70s, man. It was the early 70s.
You weren't even shaving yet.
Was that what was it? West Virginia? What was it?
Sunshine on my shoulder.
Oh, and that movie was out, too, that came with that. There was a real sad movie. I hated it.
Yeah, John Denver, believe it or not.
All right.
I wanted to lie to you, but I'm all cards. I'm all cards
You're
on the
still cool, Dwight.
In this,
We still love you, Dwight.
In this town, usually you say, "What's your first concert?" Every asshole says, "Kiss with AC/DC." There wasn't that many seats in Freedom Hall.
Yeah,
I've heard that
was a
90,000
pretty-
times.
I know. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Start with you. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Invisibility. Walk in every restroom the women's have, and you kidding me, man? That's how she poops.
She
Immediately.
really does. They do poop.
I wonder what she looks
Hey,
like
you
when she
poop.
poops.
Yeah.
Send in Witten. He's invisible.
Yeah.
No, I think invisibility. That just sounds fun.
Yeah.
Flying's a close second.
What about you?
What would be my superpower? If I had so much money, I could help so many nonprofits. And then we could kick the government out of all the
really
nonprofits.
a superpower. That's like
It would be for me.
no. It's like just go play the fucking lottery tomorrow night.
Nah, that don't
what is it, up to like
happen.
700 million or something like that?
I don't
Yeah,
play
no, it's like
that.
700
I work
something
so hard
million
for my
dollars.
money. I don't do that.
There's a song. Isn't there a song about that?
Work hard for money.
Yeah, there is. She works hard for the money.
All right. Stuck in an elevator. Which celebrity would it be that you would want to be stuck with?
Oh, gosh.
Don't say him.
I'm not a celebrity.
I can't tell that on the air.
Wow.
I'm joking.
Oh,
It's a porn star.
is it? Go ahead.
Gosh,
it
my
a
mind is so
she?
far from that. I don't even have anybody.
No.
I'm in this brand new place of being single. It's just a strange new land for me. And I'm like, all the dudes are too old for me.
You've been swiping right a lot lately
Swiping right?
on those apps?
I don't do any apps.
Okay. All right.
I just stay busy, and I'm involved in a lot of stuff. KMA, GOP, working for Senator Syme, and just doing good works in the community. So I'm hoping I'll meet somebody that's just as savage as I am, and we'll have fun together.
Yeah. Same.
Okay.
Same.
What, elevators? That's the question?
Yeah.
Nico McBrain from Iron Maiden.
No.
Either him or Sammy. One of the two. Sammy Hagar, Nico McBrain.
But you met Sammy lots of times, right?
Well, not hung out,
no,
not
yeah,
stuck in an
yeah.
elevator where I
Oh,
could just
okay.
stare at him googly-eyed and go, remember the time? Yeah, you know?
Can I touch you, please?
Fan of pizza? You like pizza?
Barano's
No,
Pizza.
he don't.
baby.
What is? Give
Are
me
you
the
sick
Dwight
of it
Witten
yet?
pizza topping.
The
What is it?
Barano's Pizza right now that I get every single... Listen, if you showed up at my house with anything but this, you're going to get chased out with the ball-headed end of a broom. Toot sweet, baby.
It is the best pizza.
A Mama Barano's with extra cheese. That's my
That
shit.
sounds so good.
Yeah, yeah.
What about you? Same.
Same thing. Yeah.
But if I'm Baxter's, I'm getting the brisket tacos.
Yeah. No, they didn't cook tonight.
I know. I noticed as soon as I pulled up, so that's what I thought all day, brisket tacos.
If you had access to a time machine and you can go anywhere in the past to observe, you're not changing the past, where would you go?
Oh, gosh.
Anywhere. Any time. Era.
I would have to go back to during the Civil War. I love that era and just love the culture. And that was really before I think a lot of the family units started breaking down and a lot of the division. And I love the era.
Okay. You do it?
I would probably go back in time to the first person that tried milk so I could find out what the fuck was running through their mind that made them want to suck on a cow tit.
Or even realize.
Think about it. We're the only species that drinks other things' milk. You know? Dogs don't do it. Cats don't do it. We're the only assholes that look at a cow and go, damn, I'd like to have some of that.
But now they have almond milk and coconut milk
Hey.
and macadamia milk.
I'm not
I didn't even know that shit made milk.
I'm not milking those little fuckers.
All right. Last one for you
Okay.
guys. I've got 3 things before I die I would like to know the answer to. I'm going to ask I'm going to share the 3 things. And I want
You're
your-
just really pulling out some deep questions tonight.
3 things you'd like to know the answer.
Yeah. And I want your answer. All right.
Wow.
Is there a God? That's the first. I'm a science guy.
I know you are.
You have faith.
Yes.
But still to this date, it hasn't been proven that he exists.
In my life, it has. To me,
To you,
yes.
okay. But not everyone else can say that.
No.
So wouldn't
Everybody has a different walk.
I'm happy for you to be able to say that.
Yes.
I would love for that to be the answer for everybody.
Yeah.
I would want it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I do believe in a higher power.
I feel like
I-
God's a loving and merciful God, and He will reveal Himself to us. Maybe we're busy or sick, or we don't hear Him always.
But
I believe He's always loving and
reveal it
forgiving.
before I die.
You know-
I want to know that
Yeah.
before I die.
I think that's where
I
faith
think He
comes in.
does.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
that's faith. I get the
And,
faith
and,
thing.
I get the science thing, what you're saying. But can you prove that there's not? I mean, you can't prove that there is,
Right,
and
you
you can't
can't.
prove that there's not.
Exactly.
And I think it all comes down to faith. And if you served a God that you could conceptualize, how great would that God be? You know,
I'm with you.
But you know,
I think a transportation to that point is thankfulness. And I was sharing with Kelly on the way here about the things I was thankful for today, and they weren't normal things. and I was talking to the Lord about it because he's now my husband, you know, and I'm missing my best friend of 31 years. So, you know, I think thankfulness, when you start doing that and thanking him for little things, because your day could be so much worse. And when you thank him for the little things, all of a sudden you start seeing the little things that make you see God. And the little things that are in your heart that you desire, or the things that you labor over, that you're broken over, that you need help with, that you're hurt over. If you start looking to see, you'll see him show up. And I'm just really in tune with spiritual things and being healthy and all that right now. That's how I live. I'm sensitive to it. I know not everybody is. That's why we have to get vacations and go on retreats.
That's a connection. I just want, you know, CNN breaking news.
Breaking news.
You know, he exists.
No, and I get that. And listen, I'm not the stereotypical Christian, and I'm not a good example of a Christian. Or maybe I am.
I
don't know.
think you're a great example.
Or maybe I am because
Caring and respect go along.
Hey, you flunk out on the religious part, which who wants to pass that?
right. Well, but
You got the heart and the spirit.
Exactly.
The thing about it is, I mean, I have so many faults, but everybody does if they're human beings. You know,
True.
and they're going. I mean, I've cussed like a sailor with
True
Tourette's syndrome.
story.
I don't think that's a bad witness, but that's just me.
It's not even the Bible.
No.
Cuss words aren't even in the Bible, y'all.
I think that the Lord I serve needs people that can go out and speak and say, "Thou sayest, knowest," and I think they also need guys like me that really don't know what they're doing and they can cuss, and they can just talk real, you know.
Yep.
But here's one thing I will say. I said it earlier in the show that I was in the prison ministry in the penitentiary for 8 years. And one thing that I learned from a resident is he read Proverbs like a horoscope. And what I mean is there's 31 Proverbs.
Oh, so much wisdom in there.
31 Proverbs. So you can read on day one, on the first, read first, all the way through. And if there's 32,
Dear
you
Lord, if
start
they
over.
taught that in the school system, it would be revolutionized.
And then another thing that I learned is you can read a certain verse in the Bible, and one day it'll mean one thing and resonate with you, and another thing, another
Yeah.
day it'll mean something totally different. And then-
revelation.
yeah. So, and I haven't been reading Bible and all that, but I was a lot happier when I did.
Gotcha.
Hey, it's so cool now. You can listen to Bible on your phone. It's so easy.
Oh, there's an app. You
I
can-
put it
yeah.
on when I go to bed if I can't sleep
Actually,
sometimes.
there's
and
an
it
app where,
makes
you
me
know, if
rest.
you read the Bible the way it was
Yeah,
written.
right.
Oh,
you
how
know,
many
it's
different?
very-
Oh, my
there-
newest, the
now
Passion
one-
Translation. It's
well,
so
there is-
cool.
yeah, it's translated for my
understandable.
mind.
And I'm not a big
At my
reader.
level.
No, and there's another thing. There's so many different levels of Scripture. There's one that when I first got into it, I got baptized on April 14th, 2005. Okay, and what I found is
It's cool. You remember the
I
date.
caught by to the T. I remember the whole experience. I remember the day I was baptized. I was hungover, still tasting the alcohol, still smelling the alcohol. And it's not the greatest memory. I wish I could have done it over, but that's how it was done. And it was April 14th.
I have one of
2005.
them.
But I caught it the regular guy, Bob. Because it was called the New Living Translation. And it talked in regular guy terms. Because, man, when you start doing this, thou was deist, doest.
Yeah.
I don't know what are you
It's
talking
Old
about?
English, and the king did that because in the translation there was translations about us being priests and kings, and he didn't want the little people building all the big fancy cathedrals to stop working or to lose his control. So he
Yeah.
didn't want them to think they were anybody. So he kept it.
Well, one of the guys that I met in prison, his name was Tony Batten, and the first time I sat down with him, he said, "Look, I don't know what I believe, man. I don't know if I believe anything at all." I said, "That's cool. Let's just hang out because you're never quite sure." If you meet a Christian and they say they're 100% positive, in my opinion, they're not 100% positive because that's where faith comes in.
I agree.
But that's just
Yeah,
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Second one. Are we alone in the universe?
You know, that's one of them things I think.
need to know.
Yes, no, and I just keep putting it back on the shelf because I don't know. I don't have the information to make that decision. I just don't.
But logic.
Logically, I believe there's other things out there. Man, living organisms are so unbelievable beyond our comprehension, the ability of even our own body, much less the universe. I mean, we're so small-minded. That's what I hate. People getting hung up on the small shit. Come on, let's move on. I'm like, move on. Come on, we got to go forward.
If we're not, I hope they're not watching us. That's all I can say.
They're having a blast watching us.
No,
Come
they're
on.
laughing their ass off.
They're
watching
going,
us.
those jokers.
But my straight answer would be no. I think there's other stuff out
Yeah,
there.
same. Last one. I want to know what truly happens when we die.
Really?
I would like to
It
know.
is a great subject, and I really love it. I mean,
Your faith says bigger and better things.
well,
you
well,
know.
I mean, the Bible tells us to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And, you know, I can use an example. When my husband passed, I just felt like he just took a zipper, unzipped, stepped into the next realm. It says that we're seated in heavenly places with Christ in Ephesians, one of his favorite scriptures, Ephesians 1:3, if you want to look it up, which means we rule and reign with him. And we're a part of the body of Christ. So, you know, we're not going to darkness. We're going to the light. And we're going to be rejoined with the body of Christ, with our Savior, with our Father, with the Holy Spirit. It's a big party, man.
I don't know exactly how it goes down. I don't, and of course, nobody does.
Nobody. Right.
And that's what's spooky. Even if you do have faith.
Scary. Yeah, apprehension.
It really is. You don't know, and they say, well, go to the light, and here's one book that I read early in my walk, 2005. It was I'm a dark guy. I like the dark stuff, man. So I wanted to find out. I want to find out about heaven, but I wanted to find out what about hell. Mm-hmm. So I read this book, and it was on people that died, and in their mind they went to hell. Mm-hmm. And a lot of surgeons, it's common for them to have God complexes, and therefore not believe in God. I'm saving these lives. But there was one surgeon that brought people back. They died on the table. He got them back, and a handful of them that never knew each other, told this same story. Oh my God, I was in hell, and started describing it. And at first he thought, well, these neurons fired here, and then all the stories started sounding alike.
Wow!
And it freaked him out, and he ran to Christ. So going from that, I think something might happen immediately, but I don't know. Nobody knows,
Well, if he gave his blood for us and he said it is finished, I feel like you may be over in Africa and never heard of Jesus Christ or whatever your God is, and I believe that. I can't say that there's not other languages or other people that relate to a higher power or God, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to put my label on their God, but when you get to that point and you know them, you go on and be with them. You become one with them. We're going from life to life is what the Bible says.
Wow, this got heavy.
I know.
Kevin. What are you doing?
I mean, it's something to be excited about.
Yeah.
Jesus already paid for our debt that we didn't owe, and we're getting ready to have Easter, y'all.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why I'm talking about it.
Some of my favorite conversations is religion and politics to a degree, but religion is because it's so out there. I mean, you've got clearly you have a belief, a passion, and I'm one that I need to know. But
I'm a God seeker.
But I'm rooting for your way.
I'm rooting for you, whatever path God takes you on, and He's going to teach you a journey. He's the author and finisher of your faith. And I mean, I've had my head beat in. I have not had a good life. I have had a great life, but things have happened to me, and I've overcome. And so I have this knowledge of my Christ and my Savior that it's a perspective that no one else has, but I know He's helped me. He's helped me overcome. I better myself every day. I move forward, and that's all coming from the higher power. It's not me.
I've heard the stories that people will have some kind of a divine intervention or something.
I'm a barren woman with 4 kids and 4 grandkids. And the last kid I had, they said, "Damn, you can't even have kids. Did you know that?" And I said, "Yeah, I don't even know."
But I want to.
It's miraculous.
I want to say what's interesting about you is you don't bash people over the head,
No.
but that goes on both sides.
Well,
a lot of Christians can bash people
It's
over their
bad.
head, and so it's really interesting when you can open up a dialogue.
I'm very
and just
open.
talk and
Yeah,
just
it's
talk person to
conversation,
person.
yeah.
You know,
'Cause I don't know everything.
When you're exposed to other cultures too, you're more.
there's a book. I don't know if you're a big reader. If not, you can get it on book on tape, whatever. But there's a book called A Case for Christ, and this was an editor, I believe, with the Chicago Tribune. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I'm going to prove, which you said you've researched it. I'm going to prove that Christ didn't exist. So this Tribune editor went out and started researching, and along the way thought, "Oh my God, this happened. It's real," and wound up becoming a Christian. So sometimes when you dabble in things, you find things out you were not expecting. But
Again, through conversation, I get a little bit more than what I had before.
Sure.
And keeps me conversation keeps me from the whole visual thing on that's free on
I
the
think
internet.
that you're
You'd appreciate
a creative
this.
person.
On one of those adult sites. The last video I looked at, a box popped up and said, "You have finished watching every video on the."
oh, you got to be kidding me, man! Wow,
You need to-
there's hundreds of.
Please go to Pornhub 2.0 now.
Oh no!
Because if I recall correctly, there's 785,332 videos on Pornhub. That's my biggest struggle is lust and anger.
Yeah, lust and anger. Thanks for hanging out.
Hey man, it's
Hey,
been
it was
great.
awesome.
Next time, have the brisket taco.
We
What
got
kitchen,
to,
man?
and
This-
you know what? This was very cool. Just shooting the shit. I mean, this is really a fun podcast for me.
Man, I
So-
love Louisville. I
love
love Louisville Metro. I love Bullitt County. I've lived in a lot of cities, big cities. I just love it here.
We really do have a good city.
We have
I
a
mean, I've
damn
thought
good
about
city.
moving, and I'm like, I can't leave my mountains. I can't leave my
No,
people.
man.
I can't leave this
The
community.
food, the drink. I mean, we've got.
What about the musical
the
community?
culture
Oh, yeah.
is so it's better than Nashville, my opinion.
Have you ever seen a more close knit group than the Louisville, Kentucky music
It's
scene?
awesome. I
God
love
love 'em.
them.
People step up, especially when there's in need, benefit.
Oh, yeah, there's no-
They're the biggest
and-
mechanism we have in the city, reaching out to help and meet needs.
And places like Baxter's 942 that step
Yes.
up when there is a fundraiser
Yes.
in need. So yeah, I love Louisville.
Love it. Thanks for hanging out.
Okay,
We're going to do it again.
Thanks for asking
do
us.
it again.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
A recurring thing here.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks.